plate of cookies out. I'm gonna have one. I'm gonna be the first one there. I've always had a major sweet tooth, but to be honest, I would say generally my day-to-day is pretty healthy. I've been paying so much more attention to my sugar intake this past year or so, and I kept seeing this YouTube video recommended to me over and over and over, so I finally clicked on it, I finally watched it, and it's great. Very informative, very insightful, great video. This guy went 30 days without sugar, and I was like, you know what? I wanna try that. However, 30 days, that's hard. Like, that's very hard. Like, he did a great job. That is hard. That's tough to do. There are sugar in things that you wouldn't even assume there's added sugar in. So I figured I'd start with a week. How bad really is sugar for you? Well, there is a long list of minor to major, short-term to long-term things that sugar can do to you. Not to mention how addicting it is. Just to name a few, it increases your blood pressure, causes inflammation, could cause weight gain, could lead to diabetes, fatty liver disease, tons of fatigue, make you feel anxious, bloating, stomach pain, heart disease. It can disable your appetite control, cavities. It can even affect the appearance of your face. I read that it can cause wrinkles, lines, saggy under eyes, and even thinning eyebrows. And the list even goes on from that. Especially in the US, there's literally just so much sugar in everything, right? So we start with my favorite thing. Coffee. Coffee is probably my largest sugar source because I do like to buy flavored creamers. I've tried the zero sugar, zero calorie, skinny syrups, all of that. I honestly just don't like them as much as coffee creamer. I only have one coffee used with a creamer a day. However, it is high in sugar. Also, buying creamers that are zero sugar, because they have them, they just have that weird alternative sweetener taste that I just can't get behind. So that was the hardest thing for me. You may know, but I'm a huge protein coffee believer. However, the caramel latte protein that I use to make my protein coffee has 2 grams of sugar, and that is such a small amount that it's really okay on the day-to-day, but for this challenge, I couldn't have it. So I went for a 0 grams of sugar protein. My coffee's just really not as good, which is sad because it truly is like my favorite part of the day, waking up. It's been sunny out too, like such a good morning brew cup of coffee, right? You know, my first cup of coffee, I don't even add anything crazy. I just use protein. Like you already probably know, I use this caramel latte protein and it's so good, but it does have 2 grams of sugar. Whereas I have this plain vanilla protein and it has no sugar. Sometimes it is hard to know if it's added sugar or natural sugar though, because some ingredient lists don't specify. But the difference is, well, like this just isn't as good. It's not as sweet and it just doesn't like make it taste like coffee should, right? Like caramel latte, like this just makes it perfect. It's only a week, but we are sacrificing 2 grams of sugar for joy. Is that worth it? The biggest challenge really is because my morning coffee is like my favorite part of the day, so changing that and making it not as tasty was difficult for a week, I'm not gonna lie. However, after the milk, the protein, the espresso, I did add in a 0 calorie sweetener, and let's get into that. Sugar versus 0 calorie sweeteners, like what's going on there, right? Like, are they okay? I had no idea, but I tried looking it up, and WebMD says that a lot of alternative 0 calorie sweeteners are considered healthy substitutes, actually, which is great news. They give you that sweet taste without the calories or glycemic effects on blood sugar that contributes to obesity and diabetes. However, using a lot of these sweeteners may just increase your cravings for sweet food and may, I don't know, put you in this cycle of going back and forth with sugar, right? So they're great, but I wouldn't put them in everything. Throughout this week, I did go grocery shopping to buy a couple alternatives, a couple extra things, and it really is hard to find foods with no added sugars. I did eat some sugars throughout the week in terms of like I had fruit, right? But most things specifically have added sugar, and that's really where you want to stay away from. Of course, too much sugar in fruit isn't good. You know, too much of anything isn't good, but it was hard. You know, you really have to seek out the no sugar options, and then I always wonder if they are not adding sugar, are they adding some sort of, you know, alternative substitute that is also really bad? You know, I don't know. Some things are easy swaps. For example, I am a big yogurt for breakfast kind of gal. These are the ones I usually buy just because they are the cheapest, and I do like them, but they have 7 grams of sugar. Only 1 gram is added, so I'm assuming the 7 grams comes mainly from the fruit mixed in, but still it does have added, and like added is the main thing that I'm like, no, no, no. Whereas this one, 0 sugar. It says only natural ingredients, so I'm gonna assume there is some sugar that comes from the berries. But so this is an easy swap, but this one is more expensive. Sometimes it's pricey to eat healthy, you know? Maybe there really isn't much sugar in here. I expected there to be like legit berries. It's just mixed berry flavored. It doesn't have actual like mixed berries in it. It is definitely a little more bland, but it's not bad. However, my granola does have 0 sugar, which is nice. I do use maple syrup to sweeten it, and I used a sugar-free one, so. I honestly had no idea what to make for dinner tonight. I just was like, everything basically has some sugar in it, right? But Banza pasta has no added sugar, so I just boiled some noodles, and I'm gonna make my own little sauce with avocado, little olive oil if it needs it, some Parmesan cheese, no sugar, and I have 3 tomatoes left. Little garlic. I have a feeling I'm gonna be cooking a lot this week, which is fine. I swear, anything that's not home cooked just like has sugar. I mean, not 100%, but like a lot of things. Not bad for a last minute, we have no groceries, not planned ahead, sugar-free meal, you know? Added some chicken that was already cooked. Also, keep in mind, no sugar does not necessarily mean healthy, right? You can have a really unhealthy dish that doesn't have sugar in it. So I didn't do this to lose weight or anything like that. I did this really to just see, okay, does cutting out sugar affect me? What does it do? I have a bunch of Easter candy and stuff in the house, and I want chocolate so bad. But the less sugar you eat, the less you crave it, so it'll get easier. And 7 days really is not that long of a time, although in the moment it felt like it. I will tell you, it felt like a long, long time. I'm procrastinating making lunch because I know it's gonna take more effort than normal. So here's a good snack. But I think by the end of the week, I did start to feel things that would only increase down the road if I were to keep this up. Another important thing is off of fruit, natural sugars, those are not bad for you. Natural sugars actually contain fiber and vitamins and minerals and other things that aren't bad for you that you actually need. But again, too much of anything is not good. So for this week, I specifically cut out all added sugar. I didn't have a ton of fruit or anything, so my overall sugar was pretty low. But, you know, I made a pasta with tomato sauce. Like, tomatoes have natural sugar in them. Sometimes I like doing things that make me cook more, so that is one pro out of this. I made sure to get a sauce with no sugar. Although this obviously has a lot of tomatoes, so I'm sure there's natural like tomato sugar, whatever. Red sauce, garlic, spinach, and sausage, and Parmesan cheese. That is good. No sugar added, definitely doesn't make the sauce bad, so I would buy it again. It's actually just something that I would have to like pay attention to, you know? After just 1 week, 7 days alone, I did notice changes. Again, I did not do this to lose weight. I don't think I lost weight. You know, 1 week is a very short amount of time to lose weight that's like super noticeable. However, I do think if I kept this up, I probably would slim down a bit. One big thing is I feel like it helped my skin a ton. I had this like nasty ingrown like weird pimple like on my neck that was so uncomfortable, and it went away so fast, like way faster than any other breakout, I swear, has cleared up. My skin was thriving. At first, I felt like I was getting these crashes in the afternoon, and it was like, oh, is it because I cut out the sugar? But then I realized because I didn't enjoy my coffee as much, I was only having 1 cup a day, which my body is used to having 2 cups a day. So it was like a weird change for me. Today and yesterday, I've actually been getting like super tired around like 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I don't know, is that due to not having sugar, like a sugar rush from dinner? You would think less sugar means less crash, but I don't know, I've just been getting really tired. And maybe it's not the whole like what I'm eating, maybe it's just I'm not sleeping enough at night or something, but just today and yesterday I've been so tired around like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I eat dinner at like 5. Like, I eat dinner pretty early, so it's not like I eat and immediately I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. No, I'm just like, it just hits me like an hour or 2 later. I don't know. I think when I was feeling tired, it wasn't due to the sugar, it was due to less caffeine, which, you know. I 100% craved sugar way less at the end of the week compared to the start. Like I said, sugar is addictive, right? The less you have it, the less you crave it. It is so true. Of course, I would like want sweet treats if I could have them, right? Like after dinner, I'm such a person who's like, ooh, something sweet, maybe some chocolate, something like that. Of course, I'd like finish my meal and I'm like, you know, chocolate sounds good, but it wouldn't be like a craving. There's a difference between a craving and just a want. A little want. You know, I didn't feel like I needed it, but I was like, you know, I mean, it would be nice if I could have a little piece of chocolate. It would never not be nice. It was very noticeable to me how many things I had to turn down or say no to. You know, when you're going about daily life, you know, you have social aspects, you have different things going on. You know, maybe friends, family want to grab a bite to eat, whatever. Because I was doing no sugar, like, again, you don't always realize how much sugar is in things, or things you don't expect to have a ton of sugar really do. So I definitely like had to reject a lot of specific foods, or, you know, getting dinner one night or whatever, which I do really cook a lot at home. So it wasn't like weird or anything, but it does have an effect on your social life, you know? That's something that may not be talked about a ton, but it really has a big impact on your social life. The one thing though is I almost felt a little bit like I was being kind of restrictive in my diet, which if you know me, you know I'm very, very against that. Like, you should not restrict yourself because that only leads to a toxic cycle. You know, when you restrict too much, you end up overdoing it later on. So I did feel like over the week, I kind of felt a little restrictive, and you know, that wasn't for me. I was like, yeah, I don't like this. It was nice to feel like I craved sugar less, but I almost wanted to compensate in other ways. And that was a con that I definitely want to bring up because it's important to note. But with that also, I just feel like I generally overall felt better. You know, like less sugar, you just feel more alive, you feel more energetic, you know, like that sugar crash is a real thing. Like if you have so much, you know, that fatigue I talked about, you can get so tired and so worn out literally from just your diet. That being said, I am a huge fan about low sugar, you know, just watching what I consume, making sure I'm picking good foods. However, I don't think my lifestyle needs to be sugar-free. I want to make it a goal for me to do more, you know, different types of sweeteners because there are a ton of options out there and some of them don't cost a lot. Sometimes eating sugar-free though is very expensive, and I want to make it a goal to, you know, cut down my sugar intake. Maybe if I actually watch that more, like the only thing day to day I measure is my protein intake. I don't measure calories, but if I start keeping more of an eye on sugar, you know, that could benefit me in the long run. But I never want to take away the simple joys, like having my protein coffee that literally has 2 grams of sugar. Like, I can afford that in my daily sugar intake, you know, especially because it's such an important part of the day to me. Like, I don't want to cut that out. I shouldn't have to. And really, I love to do these challenges. I love to see how things affect my body and how I feel, and I love to share them with you because they're so interesting and fascinating. And if you're into this stuff, it's like, oh, like, I don't know, like, I think it's cool. But at the end of it, whenever I try any sort of challenge, the message and conclusion is always the same. Nothing beats balance. Really, nothing does. But you do have to have that self-awareness and that discipline to create an appropriate balance for you. One that, you know, makes you feel good, but is something that you also can enjoy. And nobody can tell you your balance. It is something that you have to find with so much trial and error. And I will never discredit the hard work that goes into, you know, finding what makes you feel and look and act and whatever your best and fuels you and all of that. But yeah, this was fun to try, and here are my findings. Would you ever go sugar-free completely? Would you do it for a week? A month? Like, what are your thoughts? I personally think it's hard. It's very challenging. Props to anyone who can do it, but I know there are people who live their lives sugar-free, and props to them. That's amazing. Like, keep it up. Let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe if you have not. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one.